Hello and welcome back to the Modern Mompreneur podcast. I am your host, Dai Smith, owner and founder of Simplicity by Dai, and a modern mompreneur myself. Always looking for ways to make this a safe space for mompreneurs to be inspired and to hear from other mompreneurs who are out there killing the game. And I'm so excited to have Alison McFarlane here with us. She and I met, I think almost a year ago in our WBEA, Women Business Enterprise Alliance Network, which is an amazing organization. And Alison came in as a mentor to us on the corporate side. And we stayed in contact and we went to conferences together. I've watched her just shine on LinkedIn and in the community. I mean, she's everywhere. She's everywhere doing big things. And so, Alison, welcome to the Modern Mompreneur podcast. So happy to have you.
Gosh, well, thank you. And I'm so proud of you. Talk about doing big things. You have just
Ah,
catapulted. I have no words. It makes me so honored just to see the success and how you've just really put your feet to the plow and just went to work. So just keep it up. It's amazing. I
thank
see you.
you. Thank you. It is definitely hard work, but this is what we're here for. And
Yes.
this recording is actually recorded during Mompreneur Week. And so this is very special because we live this life. You have a
Yeah.
daughter, you're running a business, you're creating a
Yes.
brand outside of
Yes.
your corporate life. And so I can't wait to
Yes.
dive into that because I think there's so many listeners who are not only raising kids, but having a lot of success in that corporate world, and they say, you know what, I'm going to step out on faith and do
Yes.
something on my own. So I can't wait to
Yeah.
share that. But before we get into all that, tell the women and men, the listeners, who you
Okay.
are and who you serve right now.
Okay, so I'm Alison McFarlane, founder and CEO of Alison McFarlane Inc. I serve people that are truly up to something greater and bigger than themselves. So I would say probably more or less the medium type size small businesses, not so much too much of the small businesses because I generally do like workshops for them, but for like day-to-day clientele, it's going to be the medium-sized client. And what I do is
Mhm.
personal branding and marketing. So what we found that we're definitely in a digital age where your social footprint matters more than your resume.
Mm,
So just helping people get their messaging out and making sure that their brand is clearly communicated is effective and it makes people want to do business with them. So that is what I do at
love it.
Alison McFarlane Inc. And along with that is a lot of partnerships and just brand connectivity, making sure you can get the type of partnerships you're looking for, the type of connectivity you're looking for, and just take your business to that next level. So I do that
Yeah.
for CEOs and um, even, and not just CEOs, but even people in corporate America that need to start polishing up their brand so that they can figure out
Mm.
what's next.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's important. I love that you talk about branding, and I always say that you can have the best ideal, the best, service, product, but if nobody knows about you, you got to fix
Yeah,
that.
it's
You
gonna
got
be
to
hard
be
to
able
tell.
to put yourself out there, and so, and there's no harm in self-promoting, or
Not
and
at all.
or finding partnerships where people can promote you, kind of like what we do. If I walk into a room and I hear someone say anything about corporate CEO branding, or someone who's shifting from corporate to CEO work or in the business, and
Yeah.
they need help, I think of you. Like, I'm going to promote you, and I'm sure you do the same when it comes to
Yes.
my skill set. So
Yes,
those
ma'am.
partnerships are so crucial
Yeah.
because that's how we're going to get things done, especially as mompreneurs. Um,
Yes.
so tell us about your journey. Like, how did you get started in this space with Alison McFarlane Inc.? Like, where did it start? How did we get here?
So this is a funny story. So this was not my intention to start Alison McFarlane Inc. I had been in
Mhm.
bank. I had been in corporate America for gosh, over 20 plus years. And I got to like a crossroad, I want to say. Um, I got to a crossroad where I had to make some hard decisions quickly. Some were wanted, some were unwanted decisions, but it was something I had to make a decision on was I going to stay in the financial space and continue to be there, or would I push myself to see what the possibilities are with me in branding, community engagement, just everything that I love doing. So I thrive in bringing people together. So I really got started when I had to make a decision if I was going to stay in the financial world or just go forward with what was in my heart.
Mhm.
And I made the decision, Dave, to bet on myself. And
Mhm.
I think that was the scary part because I had bet on every corporation that I worked for. I have helped them elevate their brand. I have done great things, brought over lots of money, brought over great clients, and still have great relationships within that 15 years of me being in banking. But I really had to take the time to say, okay, Allison, you've done this for everybody else. Are you ready to do it for yourself and not just do it, but do it
Mhm.
at a high level? So it
Mm.
took a lot of faith and a lot of fear, but I just made the decision that it had to be done because I didn't want the same results that I was getting.
Mm. Okay. So when you were in that moment and you said, "Okay, I'm going to step out on faith," what things did you put in place to like give you maybe security or like just more of a leg to stand on? Because it's tough going from secure job and then now you are the face of your business. Were there things that you did to plan or prepare for that, or was it really just like day one, 2 weeks notice, I'm moving on?
So I had started planning. So I was in like a leadership development program for it was called Thought Leaders through GHWCC. And through
Hmm.
that program, it's like you get your own personal board of advisors. So I was in a room with CEOs,
Mm.
COOs, all type of like really fabulous women that I feel like could probably take over the world. And we were having real conversations, like where we were at in life, what we were up against, what challenges were we facing. And in this particular program, it was really a program of self-reflection, and not just self-reflection, but challenging
Mm.
every thought that you thought regarding yourself, everything that you had set up. And in that particular space, we were all like pivoting either personally or professionally, but everybody in my group was through that year program, we were all going through some type of transition. So
Okay.
that program really got me started, and it just kind of expedited the process because the goal was not to leave as quickly as I left the corporate world, but
Okay.
it just accelerated everything. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can't wait any longer. I feel
Wow.
like the relationship isn't really working out here. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna do it. So I just truly stepped out on faith, which I don't encourage everyone to do because I am a bit of a risk taker. And
Mm.
you gotta make sure your family is willing to take along that risk. And then the thing about it is I'm also a single mom. And I've been a single
Mhm.
mom for my child 17 years. So I am the sole provider. So with
Yeah.
that being said, had to take additional like inventory before I fully stepped out. But I was like, I prepared her and I'm like, we're gonna go on a ride. I need you to trust me. I have been building my brand out for a while now. And this
Yeah.
wasn't like this me building out who I am has been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
But just encouraging her to trust me on this journey. And she's just
Yeah.
like, okay, mom. But sometimes she's like, you sure you don't want to go back to work?
Oh Lord, she called you out. So you mentioned
Yeah.
the Greater Houston Women Chamber of Commerce. For people that don't know, the
Yeah.
GWHCC, like
Uh-huh.
GHWCC. There we go. There we go. The acronym.
Uh-huh.
But so you had this opportunity to be around people who are thought leaders who were pouring into you, and then the relationship you said you had with corporate wasn't fitting, and so I like that you're a risk taker because sometimes most of us, I feel like when we take that step, we either have to be, we sometimes we got to be pushed. Otherwise, we'll just
Yeah.
sit in that comfort zone of the
Yeah.
corporate, of the 9 to 5. No, no shade because I have a 9 to 5, but sometimes you got to be
Yeah.
pushed out because you know that story of the ancient army where the commander burned the ships at sea, and
Mhm.
the army had no choice. He said, "You either die or fight and win," because he burned the
Yeah.
ships. And so that is kind of like what happens in business. The people who are successful and really crazy and delusional, but they make it, they're great because they've made it work. But
Yeah.
they look at it that way, like, I'm just going to take this leap of faith. And you will surprise yourself of how what you can achieve and how you can achieve it when you don't have that safety net. So I do like that you talk about being a risk taker because sometimes that is what it takes. Even if you
Yes.
know, and you have kids, you're considering your family, you have that you had a conversation with your daughter. And so people who are raising kids and have spouses, they definitely need to have that conversation to make sure everybody knows
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
happening, what's about to happen,
yeah.
and go
Because
forth.
it's
So,
some change. It's a little bit of a lifestyle change. So like
hmm
expressing that to her, and then she's also about to go away to college. So just a lot of things are transitioning right now. So just it's ensuring her that we're going to be all right. But trust me as we transition.
yeah, yeah, got it. So, someone who is looking for like branding coaching and visibility coaching, how, who are the
Mhm.
people? What would you tell them that for folks who are trying to like really decide if that's something that they need? What are some telltale signs to say, okay, you may need some help here, or this could definitely benefit your business or your career path?
I think it's beneficial to everyone because you think about
Hmm.
it. I said this on another podcast I was on, but you think about it in the sense that we don't really use yellow pages anymore and we don't really use resumes. Like we do, but we don't, right? So
Hmm.
if I go to LinkedIn and if I go like LinkedIn is my yellow pages. If I need anything
Yeah.
professional related, I'm going straight there and I'm looking up people to see what they
Yep.
have going on,
Yep.
how well what they're doing, how well connected they are, what they're showing up as, and that's really how I make my decision of who and what I'm going to do business with, who I want to align myself with. So I feel
Hmm.
like you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not have a digital footprint, especially in the age of everything is digital. People know
Yeah.
you before they actually see you. So
Hmm.
I think it's intention. I think the more intentional you are about what you're able to put out about yourself, your company, you as an employee, whatever, prior to somebody else, it's always in your best interest.
Yeah.
You control your
Okay.
narrative, and I feel like now social media allows us to control it. So I believe that personal branding and just having some type of social footprint is very important because you control what's put out.
Got it. Yeah. So either one, the business owners, the professionals having a presence on LinkedIn or on whatever platform you choose. I know LinkedIn is your like your
Yeah,
standard platform that you use, and you do a great job on there. Like
yeah.
I love the way you balance being personable and relatable, but also professional at the same time, which is, I think, was hard for LinkedIn because it seems like something that's just professional only. Let's talk about business, that's it. But I've seen you lead and others a little bit, adding a little bit more personal element to it, which I think is really unique. So, yeah, share more about that. Like, since LinkedIn is your platform of choice, how do you help clients like
Okay.
elevate their presence on LinkedIn?
Just get intentional with optimizing their profile. I think we don't understand that. And I didn't even understand it fully because people will be like, oh my God, Allison, you're everywhere. And I'd be like, no, I'm not really everywhere. It just looks that way. But then
Mhm.
I had to sit down and kind of assess, okay, am I everywhere? What are people seeing? So just being more
Mm.
intentional about optimizing my profile, what I'm putting out there, what type of content I'm utilizing. And then also who I align with. I think that's very important, especially when I think that's something that we all kind of don't understand the importance of is influence. We all have a level of influence, whether we're an influencer or not. We all have a level of influence. So how you
Mm.
guard that influence, how you protect that influence, how you portray your influence. Who are you aligning with? So I think that optimizing your profile definitely helps you be able to kind of clearly communicate your influence and who
Mhm.
your target audience is, but also making sure that you are relatable because people want to do business with people. I could tell you
Yeah.
how wonderful Guy is. I could tell you how wonderful um, everything is, but if I can't actually show you who I am to a certain extent, right? We don't want to overshare, but enough to make me seem like I'm tangible. I
Yeah.
am one that hates things that seem so far off and they're not attainable because I feel like that's not realistic. So I try
Yeah.
to make it very personable and like you could do this too if you just have, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not I'm not reinventing a wheel. It's rocket science. I promise
Yeah.
you it's much easier than most realize.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you do have a skill set though. I mean, branding for sure, connecting, self-promoting, making sure that
Yeah.
people without coming off as arrogant, you definitely know how
Mhm.
to make it clear that you know what you're talking about and you know your stuff, which is a good skill to have because will be turned off if you come off as bragging, but they're going to be turned on if
Yeah,
they're like, oh, I respect what she got going on. And she's a professional in her own right. And, so I think there's a definitely a balance to it. So it's good that you're teaching people because it
oh
is
yeah,
something that everyone doesn't have and they don't know, so I think that's a great thing.
right, right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. Well, thank you for that. I feel
Of
like you
course.
own that digital organization
Ugh.
space. Like I think about you often when I'm doing stuff. I'm like, man, I should probably get today because I need to be more organized.
That's my little corner. I'm a piece of the pie is the digital space for sure. Digital organizing. So let's transition. You mentioned this that you are and have been a single mom for 17 years. And so um talk to me about how you have balanced being a mom both in your career and now shifting to entrepreneur, and what have been some aha moments or challenges you faced along the way.
Oh man, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing for me, so I was fortunate enough, and I don't know if this is fortunate, but I had her young, so I had her at 21.
Mhm.
So I often say that Samira and I grew up together, and I
Mm.
think we have really done life together. So she has seen the good, the bad, the ugly, those high points, those low points, those in between points. And it's probably been, I'm extremely transparent with her. Probably sometimes I probably get on her nerves with how transparent I am, but I want her to know, no, but I want her to know the realities of life.
Mhm.
I feel like I feel like I felt like I would do her a disservice if I didn't show her the challenges of life or how things evolve or how you evolve and how you change. So I've been very intentional to make sure that she's in a lot of those rooms I'm in. She goes a lot
Oh,
of
good.
places with me. She's
Okay.
establishing her personal brand. And she's even understanding now the importance of networking, especially now that she's going to college. She had
Wow.
to navigate that space. I took my hands off of it and I let her
Mm.
navigate where she wanted to go and then make those connections. And then as she made them, I kind of just nudged or gave a little hint, hey, let's connect to this person too as you go because you're going to
Yeah.
need that level of influence too. So I
Mm.
think for me, it's being honest about where we're at, being intentional to show her that what I'm doing is not just for me, but it's also to create a legacy and a path for her forward where it won't be as hard. And being intentional to make her go to spaces with me that she wouldn't be able to that most of her peer group wouldn't go. Like she's been in the
Mhm.
room with me and the mayor, she's been in the room with me and senators and politicians and different public figures because
Mhm.
I want her to understand how to navigate those spaces while other kids are
Mm.
playing video games or doing TikTok. She's
I'm about
in
to
the
say
rooms
on
with me.
social media, just yeah,
Yeah.
wasting
So
away.
she's like, "Mom,
Yeah.
it's so annoying." But now she understands, hey, I've been
Nice.
exposed. I think exposure is everything for any level.
It is.
Kid,
It
grown up,
is.
anybody. Exposure is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, because it gives you a visual, and that's how we
Yeah.
dream up our goals is through visual. Like a lot of kids, they don't know what their potential is because they don't see it. They don't know
Yeah.
that that exists. And so you're giving her like a peek behind the curtain that a lot of us don't get until if we ever get to 20s, 30s, definitely after college if we choose to do that. But having that, and also, I like to think that she is seeing the fruits of your labor because you have given up what she's known you do for however many years to step out on faith and build a business. And now she's seeing like my mama is bad. Look at my mama in these rooms. I feel like that's the thing she may not tell you, but she
Hmm.
probably telling her friends. I think that that is a great thing. You were probably already her role model, but now seeing
Hmm.
you like step into this fearlessly and just go for it. Like that's huge. That's huge. It
Right.
really is. It's the gift that you never thought you would be given to your child that you may not think about, but that's a big one for sure. I think so.
Well, yeah, that's a true
Yeah.
statement. And you're absolutely correct. I probably didn't think of it like that. I probably still don't really think of it like that. I'm just, you just move. You don't really
Yeah,
think
you
about
just
your
you just
movement.
doing it. I'm just
You
here to
just go
put a
flow.
pin in it. Put a pin in it. I'm telling you
Right.
right now that she is gonna
Yeah.
look back and say, dang, my mom had me in these rooms and I was getting exposure and making connections. She's gonna realize if she hasn't already that that's not normal. That's not something everybody else's
Right.
parents are doing. When she goes to college, these kids are not, they're not in that space. And so she's gonna be able to take off, having you guide her. So I love that. I love that. What have you felt
So,
like have been your non-negotiable, like must-haves as a mom in order to have this mompreneur life? Like, what are some things you like? I cannot do this without this or this person or this mindset. Like, what are those things that you have to have?
oh, God, number one, like I can't do it without God. That's why it's a faith
Mm-hmm.
walk, because every day I submit who I am to Him and what I have going on to Him.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
biggest thing is being okay with saying no. I get a lot of different opportunities, and as you grow, I'm confident you get some too. But as you get higher up, everybody's gonna want something. So
Yeah.
knowing what aligns with you and what doesn't align with you, being clear on what you're willing to bring, what you're willing to align with, or partner with, or collaborate with, and
Mm-hmm.
being okay with saying no, and not thinking that you did a disservice or that it was unfair, but knowing your standards and not moving from that. That's been my
Mm-hmm.
biggest, like, I gotta do it. Like
Okay.
I don't say yes to everyone's podcast. Like it has to make sense.
Oh.
So you asking me, no problem. Yeah, no, I don't, because it has to make sense, and I have to feel like it aligns with what I have going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had someone offer me like a medical podcast, and I was like, I don't speak on anything medical, and I just don't
Yeah.
feel like that's the right place for me to come and talk to you about medical things. It's not my area of
Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I think I'm the same way. I don't want everybody on the podcast. You definitely need to speak to being a mompreneur or speak to serving mompreneurs. So I totally get that. I love that you say, creating boundaries, protecting your space, and aligning yourself, and obviously a faith walk. I mean, if you don't have a higher power that's guiding you in this mompreneur entrepreneur journey, I don't know how you're gonna do it because it's a whole
Yeah,
it's a whole load.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, now we're going to shift gears and go to my favorite part of the podcast, which is the lightning round. We'll learn a little bit more about
Okay.
you, and whatever
Okay.
comes to your head and heart first, you can just spit it out, um, and be as raw and transparent as you want. No, you can say
Okay.
whatever you want on the podcast, basically. Okay. So first, just so you know, 'cause people ask, like, can I? I'm like, yes, you can. Say what you need.
Okay, that's
Um,
funny.
so what are three words to describe you today?
Determined, tenacious, and progressive.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. What would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
Value you more than anyone else.
Love it. Love it. What does it mean to you to be a modern mompreneur?
Mm. Connecting with others and being realistic with my connections.
Mm, transparency. Keep it 100.
Yeah.
Um, what do you love about being a mom?
um, I would say the growth. You grow as a mom, and just the growth and the opportunity to be able to pour into someone else and just see what they become. I think that's my favorite part, like her becoming. Like I'm so excited
Mm,
for that.
love it. Love it. Okay. What do you think your daughter thinks of you as a mompreneur?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Let me think. Um, she probably thinks I'm crazy, but fun. Uh, she's a little risk adverse. I'm
Okay.
much more of a risk taker than her.
Okay.
So she's very structured. So total opposite of her mom, but but it's a great balance.
It's like that a lot, especially when it's just you and your mom, like a parent and a mom, a kid. I feel like they kind of balance each other out, and a lot of times it is the child
Yeah,
who's more steady, and the parents like, let's go, do. I see that all the
it kind of
time,
goes
and
back
I
and
think
forth.
I
Yeah,
love it. I
it kind
love
of
it.
goes back and forth for us.
Yeah, of course.
That's
Okay,
funny.
what are you reading, watching, or listening to, depending on what you prefer? Reading, watching, and listening to right now.
So right now I am, so this is funny but sad. I don't watch a lot of TV. Um, so I don't do that. So what I'm reading right now is actually a book that was recommended to me. And it's Faith and the Marketplace by Bill Winston. And it has been a game changer for me.
Really? Faith in the
So that is what I'm
Marketplace.
reading. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. You don't watch TV a lot, but what about listening? Anything you listening to, a podcast, music, any artists you like into right
So
now?
I was just listening to Shannon Sharp's podcast. I like him. I like him
Oh,
because I think he's on to something, and I don't know.
the Club Shay
He's
Shay?
on to
You talking about
something.
this Club Shay Shay?
Yes, yes, he's on to something. So
Really?
I
Okay.
actually, I like his podcast. I like his interviewing skills. I like the way he connects
Okay.
with his guests. Now I don't watch all of them, but the last couple
Yeah.
ones that I've caught, I've actually enjoyed
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've only seen clips of it. I think it's
Hmm.
entertaining, but I haven't watched
Yeah.
all of it. But I'm happy for him, having that platform and
Me
bringing
too.
certain
Me
type
too.
of
I think
guests
he has
on.
a
Like,
great story.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So
Yes.
cool.
Me too.
Okay.
I think so
Last
too.
question. Okay, great. I'm gonna have to go
Okay.
back and check it out. Okay. So last question. What is bringing you joy in your downtime? What's lighting you up right now?
Um, the newness of life. Like I feel like every day is something new. Especially because, like I said, my daughter's about to leave for college in
Mhm.
the fall. So transitioning, us doing these last couple months of transitioning out of high school to making sure that she's prepared. I think that's been a joyous occasion for my whole
Oh,
family. Just her new transition, what she's gonna do, and just making sure she's prepared for it. This is really fun. I'm in a fun space now.
love it. I love that you're enjoying this journey and being present because this is a
Yeah.
big time for her and for you. So congrats.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for engaging us in the lightning round. Like to learn a little bit more about the guest in the lightning round. So I appreciate that. Can you tell the community how they can connect with you? I mean, besides LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
But you can
Okay.
spell it out.
So besides LinkedIn, even though she's right, Day's right, LinkedIn is my favorite. I
Yeah.
am on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. So I have a podcast too called They Say, where I just talk with entrepreneurs and people in that corporate space that came out of corporate, but have
Ooh,
found success in the entrepreneur space. And just people, I'm all about people overcoming challenges and adversity and giving the tools of what made them successful. So this is why I was so excited to get on here with Day, because I feel like she is the epitome of that. So definitely
thank
honored
you.
to be able to sit with you. But TikTok, I do not do any kind of dancing. But I put out little clippets of my I
Yeah.
put out little clippets of the snippets of my podcast. And then so yeah, it's Alison McFarlane Inc. on all platforms.
Simple. I love it. So LinkedIn,
Yes.
Instagram, TikTok. She ain't gonna be dancing, but you gonna get some gems on
No,
there.
I'm not gonna be dancing. I'm
And
not gonna be dancing.
YouTube. So really good.
Yes.
Allison with two L's, McFarlane. So I will definitely put those in the show notes so that everyone can follow and support you. And I want to thank you for gracing us with your presence and being such a light on this podcast because you have definitely shared some intimate personal things about where you've been with your daughter and the journey you've had and how you stepped out on faith, um, out of corporate into your own light. And I'm so excited to see where you're going to go from here. And so thank you for making a stop at the Modern Mompreneur podcast. We so appreciate you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. And I want to congratulate you and just tell you to keep going. I see you, I support you, and this is awesome and it's so
Thank you.
needed. So thank you for giving us this
Thank
space.
you. Awesome. Thank you. Yes. So, anyone who enjoyed this story, hearing about Alice's journey, can totally relate, who may even need a little bit of branding coaching, okay, and visibility coaching. Definitely support Allison, follow her. She does amazing things on LinkedIn. She's so engaging. You won't regret following her on there and connecting with her. And if you have anyone that you want to share this episode with, please do that and make sure that you get the word out because it's always great to have a safe space for us mompreneurs where we can be inspired by people like Alison and relate to what she's gone through and where she is now. And so I encourage you guys to share this, subscribe and like, and make sure you support Alison and follow her on all her platforms. So thank you again for being a wonderful guest and gracing us with your presence.
Yes.
I want to just encourage all the fellow mompreneurs as we close out to always give yourself permission to live out your dreams, because you never know who you can impact and what that'll do for your lifelong journey. So thank you again for joining us, Alison. Mompreneurs, until next time, y'all be blessed.